Jesus. When Jesus Christ died on the cross of Calvary, He took the power of evil and He stripped it bare. And He put it on public display for everyone to see that the evil forces will not reign forever. For in the death of Jesus Christ on the cross of Calvary, our enemy did the very best that he could to vanquish the power and the love of our God in heaven. And when Christ breathed His last breath and He surrendered Himself to death, Satan thought he had won. But that was just Friday. Sunday was coming. And when we peek past the cross into the tomb where Christ is buried, we see it's now empty. Because by Jesus' death, God conquers evil. Now, I know it's not necessarily kosher in post-modernity to acknowledge that there is such a thing as good and evil, right and wrong. But isn't it interesting that after September the 11th, for several months, even across the national media, they were using the phrase evil doers. There is evil. There is an enemy who this moment is seeking to chew you up and spit you out as spiritual roadkill through life. And I don't know about you, but I don't have the power in myself to resist him or to defeat him. He knows me too well. And he has tricks and schemes that are hard for me to fathom. But there's a battle going on in every town, in every village, in every city, in every hamlet around this world. And it is a battle between good and evil, between right and wrong, between light and darkness. And it is a battle for your eternity. And unless you're able to find some way of escape, unless you're able to find some power, some presence outside of yourself to engage in this struggle, in this warfare, if you will find yourself totally enslaved, in bondage to forces over which you have absolutely no power and control. Some of you in college are struggling with patterns of behavior for the first time that you never thought you would have to confront. May have been raised in good homes. For you, you may not question whether you're loved by your mom or your dad. But you find yourself powerless in the grips of patterns of behavior, and you want to cry out for help, but you're not sure where to turn. You don't know if it's safe, and you wonder if anyone else struggles like you. Yes, we all struggle like you. And yes, there is someone you can turn to, that you can find hope and deliverance. Because when Christ died, He died for you. His kind of death was a death for you and for me. He was our substitute. And He paid the price so that we could know freedom from the power of evil. But there's something else that happened when Jesus died. Not only is it by Jesus' death does God conquer evil, but look at verse 14, because there's something else that takes place. having canceled out the certificate of debt consisting of decrees against us, and which was hostile to us, and he's taken it out of the way, having nailed it to the cross. Now, I'm going to guess that most of us here at Louisiana College are here because someone somewhere offered some financial help. I was raised in a lower middle income family. We didn't have much money. And my dad worked well beyond his 70s, not necessarily because he wanted to, but because he had to. And when I finished high school, I had the privilege and the honor of traveling for a year with a youth evangelism team around the state of Louisiana, one of the most formative experiences in my life. And as that full-time tour was coming to a close, we were in a series of special services at First Baptist Church Lafayette. And there in the pastor study, Perry Sanders was the pastor, and he was going around getting to know the team and asking them what their plans were at the end of the summer, and they were all talking about where they were going to go to college. And he got to me, the last one, and I said, Dr. Sanders, to be honest with you, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'd like to go to Louisiana College, but can't afford it. He said, well, Dennis, our church has a scholarship loan program that a family in our church has established. No one from our church has applied for it. When this week is over, remind me, and I'll get you the contact. You can get the paperwork, and who knows, maybe they'll provide you some financial help. I got the application. I applied to the church for their scholarship loan program, and here was the deal. I had 10 years to pay the loan back. The clock didn't start until after I'd completed all of my education. As long as I was engaged in vocational ministry, there was no interest due on that loan. If for some reason I were to leave vocational ministry, I would pay it back at about a 3% interest rate. I had to apply every semester, calculating up my expected expenses, how much I was going to be able to provide from my own pocket, and then how much would be remaining of that bill to be paid. And they would send the bill, whatever they approved, they would send the amount directly to the business office here at the school. Folks, I did that for 3.5 years every semester until I finished here. Now, I didn't tell anyone about it. Family didn't know about it. I finished here in December. I started seminary in January, still engaged in education, wasn't concerned about that loan at the time. One day I got a letter in the mail, and the letter went something like this. Dear Dennis, I want to be one of the first ones to congratulate you on this major accomplishment. Of all of the students who have taken out this scholarship loan, you are the first one to have paid it back. It's been a privilege to invest in your ministry. May you continue to know God's blessings on your life of service. Sincerely, Perry Sanders. Great letter, one problem. I had not paid one penny on that debt. And it was thousands upon thousands of dollars. I got on the telephone and began to make some phone calls to try to find out what happened, and this is what I learned. My dad, who died about 1.5 years ago, somehow found out about that loan. Now, folks, I don't come from a family that's got money. Somehow, to this day I don't know how, somehow my dad scraped together the money without telling me to pay off the debt that I owed. If an earthly father can do that for an earthly son, how much more has our Father in heaven done when Jesus Christ died to pay the debt for the sin that we've committed? When Christ died, God cancels our debt. You have a plan to finance your education, and one day you'll pay off your debts for education. But what is your plan to pay off the debt that you owe to God? Every breath we breathe is a gift from Him. How will we pay Him off? We can't. And when Jesus died on the cross of Calvary, He paid what you cannot pay and what I cannot pay. And from the vastness of His eternal resources, He became our substitute.